Hi everyone. Good afternoon. Okay. Um, there's Miss Maxwell right there. So, hopefully more people will join, but we will go ahead and get started. Um, since I have 102 on my computer, okay? Um, and today's topic for the Maricopa County Branch NAACP, our membership and community meeting, we're going to we're going to be covering information that relates to our education committee as well as our economic development committee. It covers kind of both of those targets for the NAACP. Those of you that are already on the call pretty much understand that favors uh, the NAACP favors fair and equal educational opportunities for everyone, as well as there is a thrust for us to make sure that we help folks understand how to develop their economic wealth and their economic power. So definitely when we talk about the Earn to Learn program, that is a way for us to tap into um, our economic pol economic prowess. Okay. We have three people who are going to guest speakers, experts to talk with us today. Miss Erica Maxwell is going to talk to us a little bit about workforce development, which she's going to talk about some employment opportunities for youth in the community. We also then have Miss Justine Parnell, who is the state conference education chair, is going to give us some tips about educational success. And then we have, I'm going to say, the phenomenal, powerful Miss Fallon Jones, who has resurrected our youth and college division. And I don't say that lightly because uh, she has like a thousand youth and college division branches, and that part of the NAACP was dormant for about going on like 9 years now, probably 8 to 9 years. And she has gone into follow up on a program called Earn to Learn. Um, and we want to talk about that. And the importance is for us to get the information because as NAACP members, people will probably ask us about educational opportunities as well as questions about educational difficulties that they might be having. And so if we have the information, then we can pass it on to others. Okay. So first of all, I am going to, and each one of them is going to speak to us for about 15 minutes, and then we can have Q&A afterwards. So uh, if that's okay, if you'll take your notes, we'll let each one of them give us some information, and then we'll do Q&A. Um, so thank you, everybody, for joining. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over. Miss Erica, do you want to start sharing now, or do you want to test my technology skills right at this moment, or how soon?
Yes.
Okay,
You know what? I'm going to ask that someone else go first. I dropped my computer the other day and it's acting kind of funky.
okay,
But
okay,
well,
all right,
let me see if I'm going to send a request to share and
okay,
then and good afternoon everyone and then I should be able to pull it up.
okay. I
But
hit
yeah,
allow.
it's
It's not working.
okay.
So if you don't get it working, you can just tell us all, about the phenomenal opportunities that you're engaged in. Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Give me a moment. I have to put it down on my screen. I have so many windows open, you all. Forgive
Okay.
me.
Okay.
Yeah, let someone else go first for me,
Okay.
just because I want to make sure, because I push share,
Okay.
and I just want to make sure I can share. And then my computer is going through this whole thing, and that's why my actual camera keeps going off. So
Okay.
I may have
Okay.
to switch it. So I can go second, please, and thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna I'm going to ask Miss Fallon to talk about the Earn to Learn program if she would, right? Because um, when I was introduced to it, I think it's a phenomenal opportunity for our youth. And the more of us that know about it, maybe you can share this information with others that you come in contact with. And then Miss Fallon jumped right in, delved into it, even made some contacts. And so Miss Fallon, she is our Arizona State Conference Youth and College uh, director. And Miss Fallon, do you want to first just tell them how many branches you have resurrected and then talk to us about the Earn to Learn program?
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everybody. When we say resurrected, what Dr. Hardin is referring to, Dr. Hardin, Board
Reactivated.
Member Hardin, President
Reactivated.
Hardin,
Uh-huh.
reactivated, yes,
Mhm,
is the
mhm.
fact that we were not in compliance for a very, very long time. So we had some youth units that were moving and shaking and active in the community, but not doing those general things that have to be done in order to be considered compliant with national. And we went from having one last year, one unit, compliant unit, which means we only had two delegates at convention last year, to this year we had seven compliant units and we had a state conference. So technically, we would have been able to take 15 delegates to convention and we took 14. So it was absolutely phenomenal. And we have four more that we plan to re energize, reactivate, and make sure they're compliant this year. So that was momentous for Arizona NAACP State Conference. But thank you for those accolades, Dr. Hardin.
Mhm.
Um, so, in regards to Earn to Learn, let me share my screen with you guys because this is actually a pretty phenomenal program.
Sure.
A full context, Dr. Hardin just mentioned it to me. She mentioned it to me, and we were talking about it and how to utilize it for some of the students. Oh, can you guys see my screen?
We can see it. Mhm.
Okay,
At least
perfect.
I should say I can see it.
Okay, okay, awesome. And Dr. Harden mentioned it to me last year, and I was like, my students need this opportunity. We need it. And I had several students that were interested in going to an online school and, various other schools, and we're looking for funding. And we're constantly sending scholarships and different opportunities to our kids. We have a huge group on Group Me, and we're just all of the parents and advisors. We're dropping them in there for our babies every day. And long story short, I had students that were looking to do online learning that would require some funding. So I reached out to the Earn to Learn team. They reached back out immediately. We had two or three different meetings. And here's what I found out about this particular program. So Earn to Learn is actually a 8-to-1 match. And what they do is they send the student through a process where they're doing financial literacy learning and different educational programs that they have available, and they're all online and virtual. So as the student engages with their programming and their curriculum, they're earning that's why it's called Earn to Learn. They're earning that 8-to-1 match. And how the 8-to-1 match works is they put $500 into account, or someone, their parents put it in there, or, they work hard and they get the however it happens, they put it into this account. And as they go through this process of learning, they get an additional $500 times eight on top of that. So they end up with $4,500 for participating in this program. And it definitely gets them ready for it's so many things that it covers. The guy that I've been talking to, Emmanuel, he doesn't just send them through financial planning. They also have like a college leadership portion of the course. They have some that like prepares them for college. There's a couple different courses that are in there that are pretty cool that they send the students through. But at the end of it, they graduate and they get those funds for school. Here's what folks need to know about the money after it's received. So, and this is where we were in. It's important for you to know this ahead of time, as you guys are coaching your students or kids, to utilize this particular scholarship, is that it can only go to base tuition. It cannot go to room and board. It can only go towards their base. Um, and Additionally, it's only for certain schools. So that's one of the things that we ran into is that there was one of the schools on there in particular, WGU, that they were partnered with, but only in two states. So it was only like Florida, maybe in Colorado that you could do, with WGU, Western Governors University. So then what I did with Earn to Learn was I connected there's a program manager at WGU and the Earn to Learn representative, student agent or student advocate together to say, hey, how can we get WGU nationally as a part of this program? Because as our students are looking for online options, WGU is really inexpensive. You could pay for a whole year with just the Pell Grant, just that 7,000 something dollars, and this would be additional monies for them, in that case. Well, how that works is their leadership team connects with the schools, the institution's leadership team, and they agree on a scholarship split, and the school pays for half of it. And Earn to Learn pays for the other half through grant funding that their organization has gotten over time. And then that 8-to-1 scholarship is paid for by some funding for the school and then some funding from Earn to Learn, which is how these partnerships have been developed. So unless they get to the school, get to the person that can agree to do this, half and half split for the student, then that school and does not become a part of one of their partners until that has happened. So that's how the program works in general. There's a lot of schools that are partnered. Let me see if I can pull that up. There's a lot of different schools that are partnered with Earn
And
to
some
Learn,
of the
especially
community
here.
colleges are, right? Or some of the community
A
colleges, Ms.
few.
Fallon? Sorry.
Yeah, yes, like Pima Community. Oh, are you able to hear me? Yes, we got a little lag. Okay, sorry, team. My internet goes in and out sometimes. My apologies. Here are the list of schools that are you can currently use the Earn to Learn partnership with right now. ASU is one of them. And then I'll tell you guys about something else that I learned about that could help your students. I actually met last year at the Next Gen Service Corp at ASU. And they were at Youth Day at the Capitol, which is coming up. African American Legislative Day is coming up. That's written into legislation for the second week of February every year. And we're hosting Youth Day this year. And last year I was there, met Next Gen, and they're coming back this year. Incredible organization in which a lot of our students are already very civically engaged. You see our students everywhere from every campus, community college, university, they're all over the place. And if your students are civically engaged, if they are doing volunteer work, they can join this program called Next Gen Service Corps, and also they will cover their base tuition. So the problem I ran into last year was that one of my students, Next Gen students, were going to get their base tuition covered through Next Gen. So the additional funding that they could have gotten from Earn to Learn would have been overlap, but they would not receive it because it can only go towards base tuition. So as we are all collectively a community in helping our students navigate these educational, waters, and undergraduate opportunities, it's important for us to understand the fine print of these opportunities and scholarships so we can direct them in the right direction and make sure that they're putting time and effort into the things that's actually going to yield paying for their school. And I say that because we have talked with a lot of students and some not right. So I just had two babies last year. One of them went over to Morehouse and he got he has the GI Bill plus several scholarships, and he still wanted to take out student loans to go to Morehouse. And I understand that because I'm a Spelman woman. But well, there are other students that do not want to pay anything for school. And they're like, Miss Fallon, how can I go and not have to pay for anything? So when we're coming up with these logistical processes and systems and stacking scholarships, opportunities, and grants on top of each other to pay for our baby school, we have to understand the fine print. So I said all that to say, and you guys can find both of these. Earn to Learn, their website is very accessible. Their team is very available. As soon as you message them, you get an automated message and you can schedule a meeting with them to talk about the scholarship. And the reason they're so accessible is because they want you to enroll your students in their learning path. And of course, put up the $500 so that they can get their 8-to-1 match. So they're very, very available. And they told me last year that about half of the money that they had available for scholarships went untouched. for a million different reasons, for similar to the reason I just explained to you, because it's only for base tuition. So if base tuition is covered, students have to find other options for room and board and books and things of that nature. And then also just the pure getting it out into the community and making sure that our kids know about it. And then the last thing that I think is somewhat of an issue is that we have historically, as a culture, allowed paperwork to be a barrier for entry for us. I'll say that lightly. With a lot of respect for everyone that's here, including myself. Paperwork has been something of barrier to entry, meaning that if the application is too long, if the essay requires too much, if you got to go through jumps and hoops, we historically do not apply ourselves as much, unfortunately. And I think that's where us as a community and parents and people like myself as advisors, where we have to step in and lend a little extra love and support and help and care and just get them through it, right? Um, and I can say that with a lot of love, because even just as recently, you guys have Justine Parnell on the line, who is our state education chair and also a youth advisor for East Valley, and she's been helping our babies as they've been reaching out to her for help and support to submit their grants, because of course they want to make sure that they're properly formatted before sending them up to national. She will take time out of her life to sit there and help the babies understand what they need to do, since she is a grant writer. So that's the type of love and support that we have to give to our kids, to make sure they get through these application processes. But theirs is fairly simple. Phenomenal organization. They partner with a lot of colleges. As you can see, several of the community colleges on here, not the ones that are here. They don't have Phoenix, where we have units. We have three. Technically we have four community college units. We have South Mountain, who is compliant. I have to say that with a lot of pride. We have Phoenix Community College, who's also compliant. And then we have as well Estrella Mountain, who just recently submitted all their stuff for their first time in a very long time for compliance. And this year we're working on the Mesa one as well. So unfortunately, as you can see, they're not where our babies are, but we do have an amazing, incredible, very active unit that just launched last year at Arizona State University. And they are there, of course, NAU, they cover NAU, and also I think U of A as well. Yeah, U of A, where our Tucson president is admin there, or faculty there. So great org. I suggested, you see that their contact information is here in case you want to go to the website and connect with them. I'm happy to, if you want to reach out to me, and I'll make sure I put my information in the chat. I'm happy to connect you with my direct link there if you have more questions and concerns, or if you want to learn more about, the other scholarships and opportunities, because there's so much that we've presented to our kids in the last year alone. So if you want to know more about any of those things, we have included them in last year's impact report. They are also available on our website, and I'll make sure to include those things, the Arizona NAACP Youth and College website, in the chat as well. Dr. Hardin, aside from the scholarship opportunities and Earn to Learn, did you also want me to cover the youth update for this year?
I think this is good because we're just mainly talking about economic empowerment for our youth, right?
Got it.
And so the important thing here is, hopefully those of us that are on the call will reach out to youth that within your sphere who are headed to college, and connect them with Miss Fallon, or work with Miss Fallon, because just as she was explaining, maybe my takeaway is maybe it's better that they do not apply for their Pell Grant and apply for this Earn to Learn, and then meaning that they only have to come up with $500, and then they can get the Earn to Learn to pay for their tuition. So the phrase, information is power, information is power, or something like that. But use
Knowledge is
information.
power.
Knowledge,
Yes.
there it is.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge
Yes.
is power. And so that's what we're trying to accomplish here, is sharing the knowledge so that our youth can become powerful. So
Mhm.
thank you very much. And Ms. Fallon, I need to talk with you about ASU, because I think they're operating, but they need to do their paperwork in order to be recognized. They're functioning on the camp. This is what I think. They're camp
Mhm.
functioning on the campus as an NAACP college chapter, but we
Mhm.
need to make sure that they understand the compliance piece in order to be registered with national as well, so.
Mm. So, and I'll give you two updates on those two things. So, as far as the Pell Grant is concerned, you're absolutely correct. What we had two students that scheduled meetings last year
Uh-huh.
with two various situations. One student qualified for the maximum Pell Grant, which is about 7,000 something dollars, no money out of pocket. So
Mm-hmm.
for that student, the Pell Grant was a better option for them. But we had a student that only qualified for like 1,000 something dollars. Where
Mm-hmm.
in that situation, it made a lot more sense. Where put your $500 in this, don't take the Pell Grant, take this
Right.
for 4,500 instead. So there's this process that parents and students should be going through when they're sending their kids to school to say what's the greater good, what's the best option. And
Correct.
I don't even want to include path of least resistance, because the resistance doesn't matter. It's what's going to pay for the most stuff, what's going to
Exactly.
cover the most money, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we do
Mm-hmm.
look at those options with students. And as Dr. Harden mentioned, I'm happy to meet with any of your students, friends, family, community members, and we can talk through those options for your students. And then secondarily, as far as ASU, you are correct. I think it wasn't until um, maybe October of last year that we finished their last piece. But
Mm-hmm.
officially, they meet both on compliance. Their membership
Okay.
and their AFR have both been submitted, and we did an officer update that form for them. And we took two of those young ladies to convention with us.
Okay.
So they got
Okay.
to meet with Marie and make sure everything was together. And she gave us the last pieces of information.
That's great. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good, good. Okay. Thank you so much. And if you're going to be if you're staying around, okay, maybe if other people might be thinking of questions or information as we move along. So,
Oh,
okay.
sure.
Thank you. Okay.
Absolutely. No problem.
And I'm going to segue to Miss Parnell. If you will talk to, she is our Arizona State Conference education chair. And if there's information that you would like to share with us about how we can be successful, our folks can be successful in the educational arena, uh, generally speaking, I think, I think statistics bear out, right? Those folks who have college degrees over their lifetime make $1 million more than those who do not. That's old statistics there that I just came through my mind. So what we're talking about is how do we help our students become successful through the public education system? More so, the public education system is pretty much what the NAACP supports, rather than taking public dollars and going to charter schools. Yeah. So, Ms. Parnell, you're on. Unmute yourself, please,
Are
and
we
I'll
on?
turn it
Are you
over to
guys
you.
seeing my screen? I tried to
We
share my screen.
we see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So, that I'm glad that you brought that up. Yes, we could talk statistics, but my talk more is about how we can support them in the public school system. So I kind of one thing that I live by, and I put this on here, is like if we stop asking our children to survive broken systems and instead teach them how to navigate, challenge, and transform them. We all know that the systems that our kids go to school in tend to be more oppressive on the exclusionary discipline side. And we have lots of that's the reason why I think in this state, a lot of times people tend to choose charter schools seeking a different option than the public school. And instead of addressing the challenges and teaching our students how to navigate through them, we just take our students out of them and put them where we think is a better place.
Mhm.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about was like advocacy. And I feel like our families could do a better job at navigating advocacy. So when I'm thinking about advocacy, it's not that we are not being compliant, right? We like to call it conscious navigation, right? So instead of trying to comply with what the rules are and trying to teach our children to comply when we know that some things are wrong, we need to teach them how to consciously navigate through those spaces. So I like to let parents know that like schools are systems of power and they're not neutral spaces, unfortunately. In the times that we're living in right now, I'm sure many people have experienced adverse educational experiences, and we have to like acknowledge that, right? If we know that the school systems are not a neutral space and these are systems of power, how do we teach and prepare our students to navigate in those more oppressive spaces? And advocacy is not being difficult. It's more about a protective resistance. How do we protect our students? And you are your child's first source of data. So, like how you navigate this and how you show up for them really kind of determines how they decide to advocate for themselves going forward. And I'm going to bring a couple of stories in. As a young mom, I actually have a 20-year-old. And I remember when he would have issues in school, um, I would just take it or let that happen. And there are certain things that I reflect on. And there's one incident in his sixth grade graduation at in Gilbert Public Schools where it was the summer, it was about to be sixth grade graduation. He was splashing water on girls, and the teacher called that sexual harassment. And he then had to miss his sixth grade promotion. And I remember thinking about that at the time, like, this is crazy. They're sexualizing my child. He's not even thinking that. He thought it was funny. The girls weren't even mad. Everyone was hot. So it wasn't a big deal. Why would they do this to my kid? And I just was so busy working, right? Because um, I was a teacher, at a different school. And so I was busy working and I had two small children at the time. So he was my first and I had two other little ones at home. And I was just tired. I was like, okay, well, I guess you're missing your sixth grade promotion. And so reflecting on that, I feel like I should have done more. So now thinking in the now, um, I have a daughter who recently was suspended in school for hitting a boy back. A boy hit her and she hit them back. But this time I brought someone with me. So I brought someone with me who I knew had dealt with, she's on the board of SOS. She's dealt with school, what is it called? Unions, teacher unions. So she knew this process, better than I did. And we came in there prepared. And at the end of the whole meeting, it was a meeting that they apologized. And at this point, they couldn't take back the time she had missed from school. They couldn't take back the trauma that she had experienced, but at least we got to sit in the room and these adults all got to apologize to my child. And I think that is powerful when I think about, when we're dealing with these experiences at school, we have to teach our children how to advocate for themselves and how we advocate for them and how we show up for them. And also, like, I sometimes hope to see that as a community, we provide that assistance to families because it's sometimes like my first time, right? I didn't know anyone. I didn't know how to address this. So instead, I just let it happen, and I feel like over time, those experiences really shape the way our children see the world. And so again, like teaching them that their voice is valid and they have a right to be heard and that to challenge these injustices, right? We felt this was an injustice and we challenged it. And through that, it gave her confidence. And now the way that the whole admin and teachers interact with her is completely different than in the first semester of the year. And then the second thing I want to touch on is just like how experiences shape their identity and how exposure can expand like their imagination, right? There's so many programs out here that are being underused. And our kids, the more that they're involved in a part of different things, help them build their career path, help them build their leadership roles, and help them become creative and use their civic voice. I love being a part of civics all summer. It's one of my favorite things I did last year, and me and Fallon have been talking about it for the next year. And I love being the youth advisor for the NAACP, like being able to get these kids, find out what they love, and really be the bridge between like what their dreams are and where their imagination takes them, and actually actualizing that with them. One thing that I preach all the time is mentorship, right? It goes back to that African proverb of like, it takes a village to raise a child. But we've gotten so far away from that, I feel like, as a community. And we need to get back into that. So, like, parents need to seek mentorship opportunities, seek out places where their kids can go and other adults And I know that there was a time in our community where adults were unsafe, right? That's where we got this fear from. And so I feel like we have to start to move towards finding safe spaces for our children, being a part of them when we can, because we all know that everyone isn't able to always be a part of everything. But we have to be intentional about curating those spaces and those experiences, whether it's a healing space, if you know your child has, gone through levels of trauma, being able to, there's so many youth entrepreneurial events all the time that is out there. And Miss Fallon is really good at knowing about those because her daughter is an entrepreneur. And then those college exposures, being able to go to the different colleges and college tours, and sometimes just being a part of small organizations. A few years ago, I used to work with a group called Pro Girls, and we would take the girls on college tours and we would take them to different places. Like we were going to California or to Tucson or Flagstaff. And it's just those little experience of walking a different college campus that
Mhm.
really get them excited about college. And a lot of times they're free, so when we would go to like NAU, we got to eat in the dining hall with the students, and like being able to walk, do the tour, and eat with them is just a life transforming experience. And one last plug, if you know any children that are not a part of the youth council, I just every child, every black baby in our community should be, because the convention, our national, we really try hard to bring as many students. And I know we talked about doubling up our numbers, and last year we brought about what 15, and this year goal is 30. And I keep telling everyone like our goal is 30, our goal is 30. I'm manifesting. Our goal is 30. We're bringing 30 kids to Chicago this summer. I'm bringing 30 kids to Chicago this summer, and that experience alone, just bringing them to convention, changes the way they think about their education, changes the way that they think about their futures, what's possible for their futures. I'm gonna be vulnerable. I'm from the projects. I'm from Minnesota, right? I'm from a really liberal state, but I'm from the projects. And if it wasn't for all of those programs that were available to me when I was a kid, I don't think I would be in a doctoral program right now at ASU.
Mhm.
I took my first college course in ninth grade because it was offered to me as an extra outside after school. I would take the city bus and I would go to the community college and take a psychology course in ninth grade. They gave us free bus passes. Well, now we're living in times where those type of funds they don't exist. And we have to find ways to supplement that. And especially with what's going on with DEI right now. Oh, I think you're looking at my screen. What's going on with DEI right now? The anti-DI in education, even though the federal government said they're not going to do it. We don't know what Tom Horn's going to do, but we have to create space for our students to gain those experiences and being able to support them. And then lastly, I don't know where I'm at on time, but early awareness. I am an early childhood special education teacher. I know that this is something that we don't always talk about in our community, but it is extremely important to track our child's milestones. I know in our community, we like to, if we see someone that maybe a kid's not talking at 3 or not potty trained, we say, oh, they'll catch up. But oftentimes that's a developmental delay, and we fear a label. And as a special education teacher, I tell families all the time, special education is a service, right? You qualify for the service. It's not a label, it's not a title, it's not something you hold forever. It's a service you get until you don't need it anymore. And that's how I explain special education. So just making sure our families are paying attention to how our children emotionally regulate. I believe I'm a Black scholar, right? So I study education through the lens of Black feminism. And I know that trauma is something that lives in the bodies of our students. So the trauma of racism. And so I believe that in my heart. So if the children are living with trauma, there's 3-year-olds living with racial trauma. There's 4-year-olds living with racial trauma. And depending on how their life is at home, they might need additional assistance to navigate how to regulate their emotions.
Mhm. Cool.
And then also all of this that I was talking about leads up to what we call the school to prison pipeline.
Mhm.
And
Cool.
if we can't have our children learn how to control their emotions, we don't identify where they may need additional services, then they will be pushed through the school to prison pipeline.
Great. So may I ask, is there anyone on the call who has questions or comments for Ms. Fallon or Ms. Parnell right now? And also, just a comment, a few minutes ago, you talked about helping them with their career paths. And that's exactly what Miss Maxwell is going to talk about. So it all ties together on how to empower our youth so that, they can be very successful in the future. So any questions or comments that anybody would like to discuss or talk to our first two presenters by any chance? You can just unmute yourself if you have a question or a comment to ensure that in case I don't see your hand raised or anything. If we have children that want to reach out for the scholarship program, can they email you? So Ms. Fallon, I will I think Ms. Juanita, you're on the call. Ms. Juanita, can you put the admin email in the chat by any chance for me? And there's also the youth, Ms. Fallon's email is there, as well as Ms. Juanita, I think I see you. If you just put the admin email in there. So
Yes.
collectively, we will work. Also, let me explain that the Maricopa County branch, we very much are interested in educational success for our youth. And over the past years, we've put in our budget, we budget about usually 5 to 10,000 in scholarships. So our admin email is in there as well. And so together we work with Ms. Fallon on the scholarships with the youth. So use both the resources. Yeah. Okay. Um, and that's the purpose. Whoever put that call in, the purpose is for you to pass the information on to people in your circle. I think Ms. Parnell said it takes a village to raise a child. So that's what we're trying to do is pass the information on. Okay, Ms. Maxwell, would you please talk about the workforce development opportunities for our children and share knowledge is power. Now Ms. Fallon got me to say it right.
Yes.
Not
That
information, but
is
knowledge.
correct.
Knowledge is
Good
power.
afternoon,
Mhm.
everyone. Thank you so much, President Harden, and for everybody that's on this call, because this is a collective effort. Thank you for the information you shared, Fallon and Justine. And we are in a crisis. And sometimes I'm feeling like, am I the only one that thinks we're in a crisis or knows that we're in a crisis when it comes to our youth, our community, education. And I appreciate the sharing of resources and information because it's really going to take the community to ensure our sustainability as an ethnic group and that we thrive and stop being in survival mode. So I am Erica Maxwell. I currently am a district director for Elevate Ed AZ, which is part of the Greater Phoenix Chamber Foundation, and it's their Greater Phoenix Chamber is an advocacy group, interest group for businesses, and the foundation and Elevate at AZ is an arm of that, and we focus on workforce development for youth and working with students that are in high school that are in career and technical education programs. And so I want to talk about what are the trends in workforce development? What is it? What's happening in high school? Resources for our youth, so we can prepare them and ensure that they're successful post-secondary. So anything that they choose to do after high school. So workforce development, there's some key words. It's bridging education to opportunity and connecting. It's all about connection with those that are seeking employment to opportunities and what meeting the needs of employers. And so that's something that we really work with in terms of the business partners within our communities. And there are several components. So, oops, and it should say number one here. I had to change it because everything starts with awareness. This whole call is about awareness of programs, opportunities. Then you go to preparation, credentialing, experience, and placement and advancement. And so preparing them to be placed, students to be placed in career fields and sectors and careers in which they could be successful, and providing them with the foundational skills for success. So let's look at some data. Data has to drive our decisions. And so when we talk about Arizona specifically, Arizona is primed and is growing in terms of jobs. So when you look at the Arizona Office of Economic Opportunity, which the link is down at the bottom, you can look this all up. We're increasing from 2024 through 2034, an additional 454,167 jobs. Where elsewhere, jobs are decreasing, and across the country, it's like 0.3%. So when we talk about sectors are the overarching titles for jobs. For example, my son is a nurse, so that is the profession under healthcare and social assistance. So that is the top two projections. The top two projections, and my computer it's so touchy, you all. I really do apologize. Yeah, I might have to get a new one. Okay, so healthcare is one, construction is the second one. I'll bring that back up in a second. And then we also have manufacturing. And I'd like to give this example. How many of you have heard of TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing? Okay, so if you haven't heard of it, let me tell you, they are they have about 3,000 employees now. See, my computer is just going crazy. 3,000 employees now, and they're looking to hire 6,000 just here in Arizona, 6,000 workers. So when we talk about where are these people going to come from, right? We talk about thousands of jobs. We want to make sure, and they're going to be looking for, IT, because they're a semiconductor. So they're considered under the manufacturing, which is the third fastest growing sector for Arizona. So are the students going to be skilled? They're looking for skilled workforce, right? And so workforce development has really been a large focus. And I always say it doesn't have to be either or. It can be both. It can be I'm going to college, but I'm also getting an internship, also getting some work-based learning skills, so that when I do go and when I matriculate from my college, I have certifications as well. And why not get them in high school when they're free? So it's very important. Our students, and I'm going to show some data around that. Our students are not in these programs. Okay, so let me see if I can pull it back up. And again, I apologize. Yeah, I dropped it by mistake, of course. So let's see if I can get it back. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so sorry for that pause. Leisure and hospitality, we know we have a lot of resorts here in Arizona. Trade, transportation, and utilities, like, SRP. But the top three, and these are the top five: healthcare, construction, manufacturing. And there's so many pathways within that. So when I talk about pathways, and like I said, I use my son as an example for healthcare and being a nurse. He's a Black male nurse, which the percentage is even lower than I realized. Pathways and opportunities now that he has his bachelor's in nursing, there's so many pathways, such as I know someone that wants to be a perfusionist. Never heard of a perfusionist. There's a specific machine, you get the skills. How do you run the machine to keep the blood circulating during surgeries? That's very specialized. And so we cannot discount the specialized skills, which are not going to be replaced by AI. And you can stop me at any time. So let's talk about career and technical education programs. The components of CTE include academic skills, technical, and hands-on training. I was never in the CTE programs. My high school was just college prep. And so we are seeing a big paradigm shift in a swing in terms of it's pivoting from having a college degree to, do you have a specialized skill that I can use that does not necessarily require a college degree? But I don't want you to say, I don't want you to think I'm against college degrees. I want us to be aware of the other opportunities that exist because students are choosing not to go to college post COVID. I have dual in my house. I have a college grad and I have a daughter who's decided I don't want to go to school, like something, and I know COVID was a big part of it. Work-based learning and real-world experiences. This is what employers are asking for. And so when we think about students, they can get IRC's industry-recognized credentials, such as CompTIA. They can test and they get assessed in high school once they're in the sequence and complete the sequence of courses for example, welding. It may be 3 courses in that sequence. They complete the 3 courses and then they get the assessment. So Mentimeter is one. OSHA 10. Those are examples of industry recognized credentials, certifications, and credentials that employers are looking for when students are coming out of high school. Work-based learning includes job shadows that go to specific businesses and they are engaging in some sort of experience where they see what it is like to be in that particular profession. Guest speakers, students from and those that are in the actual industry come into the classrooms and speak about what they do and what it's like and engage students. And then internships, students are actually going to and securing and going through the whole process of completing a resume, mock interviews, actually interviewing so that they can secure an internship. When I was a college and career coach, there was a student, for example, that I worked with and coached so that he secured a job at Rummel Construction. He started during spring break of his senior year in a paid internship. Sometimes internships are unpaid. This was a paid internship. He graduated from high school. They hired him immediately full time. By the time I saw the employer in October of that same year, this student had already received an he actually moved on to the next level. So he was already, and this was with a high school diploma. He got a promotion is what I was looking for. So it happens. People don't realize places like Empire Cat, people come from all over the world to train for Empire Cat, which is off of Stapley in the 60. That is a main campus. They have a program for students that are interested in welding, automotive, and they actually have their own program where students that are in internships, if they have their own program that they want to go into and continue after high school, if they're selected, they take courses at Mesa Community College and they're getting hands-on training at the campus at Empire Cat, which is a pretty large campus. These are things that I'm like, and I don't see us in those programs. When I go and visit those, and we also have students that are placed at Honeywell. I've been on both of those campuses, and Honeywell has several. Our students aren't there. I specifically count, and again, I have to make assumptions, but I don't see us because one of the reasons is that we're not in career and technical ed programs. And I have the research shows, and you may say, well, we're not a large population as the school population. But for everybody else, Hispanic, Latinos, whites, they're in double digits. And we are 4.6% of our students are participating in career and technical education. There's so many opportunities that exist in pathways. And I am always asking the question, where are we? Hispanic and Latino students are there. White students are there. We have students that are interning and get internships at Mayo Clinic. And many of these internships turn and convert into full-time work. Even if the student chooses to go to college, we want to hire you to come back and work during your summers and breaks. And so then they're guaranteed, in some of the certifications and training, they will pay for. And I know I'm running out of time, so I'm going to keep going. So what, now what? We have to talk to students about CTE pathways and credentials, and including dual enrollment. I did not put that in there, but we know if students participate in taking high school classes that they can gain college credit for, they're more likely to go to college and use that have that as a post-secondary option. As family members, you may have nieces, nephews, best friends, kids. Ask them what certifications and career experiences they can earn in high school. Students are not necessarily aware, right? We have college and career coaches in Phoenix High School District, 2 schools in Chandler Unified, Mesa Public Schools, Peoria, Paradise Valley, 2 of the ASU prep schools. They should go and see their college and career coach and ask them about what opportunities exist. If you own a business, work for a business. Create a work-based learning opportunities through an internship program, or be a guest speaker, or create an agenda for a job shadow for a group of students to come and see what are the areas that they could work in. Because sometimes students are very myopic and they don't even realize how many opportunities exist within IT, within healthcare, within social sciences, within manufacturing, because what they are looking for and employees are looking for are skilled workers. And if they cannot get them here, guess what? They're going to bring them in from elsewhere. And so they've already set it up where that is starting to happen. And so that's that's all I really have time for. It's really an hour-long presentation. Here's some resources. Elevate at AZ. Perscalis is another opportunity for them to get skills and certifications. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act has provided lots of funding across the country for students and adults to get and gain certifications. No other investment yields as great a return as the investment in education. An educated workforce is the foundation of every community and the future of every economy. There's my information if you like to reach out to me. If you have any questions, because I know we have 6 minutes left, and I appreciate and thank you for listening.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for the information to all 3 panelists. Miss Purnell has a question, and then we'll open it up for questions, and then see if anyone has anything that they'd like to share with us. So we're not just saying college education scholarships. What we're trying to emphasize is how to help our youth understand how to become economically empowered, whether that's training or going to college. The contractor who is redoing some things at my house, he probably is making more than I am. At least he's based on the money I'm having to pay him to do the drywall, lay the floor. He's draining my bank account, and he's fully licensed. Something you said, Miss Erica, is like help our youth understand it's not either or. It can be and, right?
Yes.
He's fully licensed contractor, and in talking with me, he said, "Well, I won't be there until 10 tomorrow because I need to finish my homework." He's working on an MBA so he can advance his business. right? So I digressed. Miss Parnell.
I'm sorry, I forgot I was unmuted.
Go ahead.
I was like, yes.
I'm sorry. Did I make you forget your question? Go ahead.
That was so good. No, my question for Miss Erica was when you're talking about the CTE courses, is it something they can do like after school or is it just summertime? And specifically, I had wrote, I'm looking for medical healthcare professions that would align with one of my East Valley students. We just had a conversation about 2 weeks ago. I let her know that because she's right now, she's in hospice, working in hospice for free and volunteering and has been for years. And I said, well, you're 16 now. Like you could maybe do this and get paid because when I was 16, I got through the community college license with a CNA at
Mm-hmm.
16. And
Yeah.
what other options besides a CNA could she do if she knows she wants to be a doctor and she's going to be a doctor? But in the meantime, doctors take a long time and it's expensive. And so if she could, have a job that she could be trained in while she's in med school, that would be amazing.
Yes. Um, I would suggest sports medicine.
Okay.
And so sports medicine, we place interns like at Arizona Foothills. They train with the teams on their high school campuses if they don't want to have to travel. And so it's that experience. And I think really helping students rethink sometimes we want them to be myopic, but in this space, hey, explore. Career exploration is really important. And so I would say have her suggest that she consider doing something with sports med. They have sports medicine classes. They provide opportunities for students to intern right with the football team, with the volleyball team, and you get that real life experience because they have certified trainers. So that's a suggestion. And
And
they
then they
some
get paid for
campuses
that?
have nursing. Some internships are paid, some are unpaid.
Okay.
Yeah.
hmm Thank
Yeah.
you. I can't,
You're
we're gonna
welcome.
talk.
And you have my information.
Yes, and we're
You know
gonna
where to
talk.
reach me.
I'm in this dissertation mode, but I was like, when I'm done with this dissertation, I got so much work to do.
Yes, yes. You can reach out to me anytime. Fallon had a question or a comment.
Miss Fallon. Uh-huh.
Yes, thank you. So, I have two quick questions. I have two ladies that I just talked to this morning on the ride to Phoenix College because they had to volunteer at the MLK Youth Day. Both of these ladies are interested in law. Do they
Mm.
have any, so question one, do they have any like internships or opportunities with elevated ed that are in that type of field or in that direction? And then two, asking if, because Youth Day at the Capitol is coming up and we're still looking for orgs to table, does elevated ed do
Mm.
that? Do they table? We're gonna have 350 Black students out that day. That's the day to
Yes.
get them this information. And Justine, she and I have been high-fiving each other through your whole conversation and texting on the side. We already identified several different conferences that we need you at this year, including our convention, and several we're having. So, but yes, those are my two questions. Would you be open to having someone from Elevated Ed or yourself or whoever come out to table, and then the law portion?
Yes, and yes. So we have a partnership with Arizona Department of Public Safety,
Mhm.
AZDPS. We've had interns there. And so some of this really is contingent on what CTE pathways and classes that the school offers. Teen court, I would ask, and I don't know if you know Pam, what is her last name? Teen court is also an opportunity for them to get in that space a bit,
Excuse me,
which is volunteer if they
pa-
don't
Pamela
provide the
Pamela Neal,
Pamela O'Neill.
Neal.
I always think of her as Purple Pam. I can't think of her last name. Thank you.
That
So
too.
that's a great contact. And then they should definitely see what are the CTE courses that may align with law enforcement at their particular school. So much is this because listen, these high schools are huge, huge. And so much of it, students have to be directed and they need the guidance to know what exists and who to talk
Mhm.
to. so that they can navigate and get information. There are career assessments that they use, such as UScience, Zello, My Careers, where it looks at their aptitude base is UScience. Looks at their aptitude. What are their natural abilities? And once they take that assessment and see, it gives them a very detailed report on these are some careers they can consider, because there's so much that exists out here. And we really need to help guide our students to the opportunities and to what their natural talent is towards, and explore where they might land.
Yeah.
And it's become very specific at this point in time.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
It does. It absolutely does. And I think for Pamela Neal, she's listed on the Law for Kids site. We just recently were engaging with her because Justine was one of the, she's one of the coordinators for, what is it called? The Arizona Black Bar. They hold a deliberative discussion each year, or debate. And Justine put that together that this whole year, and we got to be judges. So I know we have a little engagement with her, Justine, more than myself, but this was excellent information. And then who would we contact for tabling? Yeah.
Yes, just contact me.
Okay.
Again, it's the collective. It's about getting this word out, again, so we can be sustainable in these very difficult economic times.
Yes.
And I'll give a quick example. I know someone whose friend moved here out of the blue. He had a certification in sheet metal. He went to the local tradesman. Within 48 hours, he had a job. Yeah, because it's specialized, right? And I have this certification. And so we have to diversify our skills.
Agreed. Thank you.
Great.
You're welcome.
And I think research indicates that most individuals follow in the occupational path of their mentors or their parents, or so I think what we're discussing here is broadening their lens so that they understand the different occupations that are available, and reaching out the best we can. So we're talking two tracks here. One, scholarships to help them pay for any kind of education that they're trying to pursue. And I want to mention that several of our NAACP executive members serve on the Arizona Community Foundation, like Cox scholarship grants, to help vet those grants, the recipients rather, read them and score them. And as well as, like I said, we're just saying it's not either or. We need to start talking to our youth about these different technical careers where they can, have a good, healthy thrive, right? Thrive and have a good career and income. So, any questions or other comments? Anybody about that? Questions to our speakers?
Quickly, I do want to say I would love to have us put together the organizations. I know we have a college fair, but I would love for us to have a college and career fair for students.
Okay, a career fair for students. Okay.
I was going to say, my youth president runs a business called Teen Gauge, and we just got the build grant to do our conference in April, the Teen Gauge conference, which is really focused on preparing kids for college. But in that, there's definitely space for we're looking for internships, period. So part of that is we will be finding specifically, we wrote this grant for 4 Black boys to attend this Teen Gauge conference and to secure paid internships. So I'm on the lookout for them. And then we're going to track over time through the summer if that changed their idea of their career trajectory. We did a little bit of research and saw the decline of Black boys attending college and going to get to trade schools specifically. So that's what we on the East Valley the Youth Council wrote our grant on. And so that's what we're doing. So she's already hosting the Teen Gauge conference. That was already part of her business plan. But then additionally, on top of that, we are doing this research project within it. And our goal is to have nothing but a hall full of internship opportunities and mentorship opportunities where students are getting on site, like mini interviews, maybe 3 to 5 minutes talking to the employer, deciding where they want to go. So that is our dream, and that's happening the last Thursday in April. I can't remember the date. I can't remember if it's the 28th or 29th, but it's the last Thursday in April. We're still putting it together. So anyone on this call, I'm going to be we'll be waiting for our emails. We'll be sending everybody in a state who has every branch will be getting our flyer to put out to their branches so we can get as many as we can, preferably, NAACP, as many as we can, people offering internships and mentorship to our youth.
Yes. And Sasha's amazing.
And especially paid internships, because
Mhm.
the reality is usually, the students who need the internships, the experience, they can't afford to because sometimes they have to go to work, right? So how can we get them paid internships, right?
Yeah.
So
And we know that every internship's not paid. And so part of our Bill grant is going to be giving like a scholarship to
right.
If one of the 4 boys choose a non-paid internship because that's their interest,
That's great.
then we want to be able to give them some money to be able to complete that.
And that's part of, what I'm saying, shortening the wealth gap, right? All families cannot afford for their children to take a gap year and run all over the country. They have to go straight to work. But so those paid internships would be great. So, all right. So hope this information has been informative for many of you. And like I said, I just want to emphasize that I know our third vice president, Princess Lucas Wilson, is one of the folks that serves on our scholarship committee in terms of helping review and vet the scholarships that come in through the Arizona Community Foundation. So we need to also start our youth looking for scholarships early. And some of those might be able to be applied to technical training, right? So we're not just pushing that everybody has to go to college, and get a college degree. Yes. So I would just like to say thank you. And our branch does these informational updates. This is our way of trying to keep our members apprised of what's going on. Every 4th Saturday, 1 o'clock, we have some kind of information to share with the community. And for those of you that are looking for our signature event, our Freedom Fund Dinner, our annual Freedom Fund Dinner, it's April 24th. We're going to be at the Renaissance this year, and we would look forward to seeing you there. Ms. Juanita put our email in the chat. And as far as that goes, I'm going to say thank you. And is anybody else anybody else have any comments about the information or questions?
I have one question.
Yes.
And it feels like it's completely left the center. So I'm going to start off by prefacing it this way. I believe in education. My degree is in physiology. I did a year of medical school before I came out to Arizona. I believe in having a solid job. I was a sergeant with the police department for like 16 years, but now I run a business. And I'm looking for people that want to learn business. I have 80 licensed life insurance agents, only 14 licensed life insurance agents, investment agents, 7 with mortgages. And in the area of money and finances, our numbers are even lower than some of those technical places that you're talking about. And I want to know if you have any programs that help, youngsters, 18, 19, 20 years old, to get into finance, to learn about investments, insurance, mortgages, as far as an ownership position. Instead of trying to climb the corporate ladder, I'm looking for people that want to own the corporate ladder. Do you know any programs that cater toward that?
And I'm just going to piggyback on what Garen is saying in terms of finance. If you think about it, I'm going to make a real broad general statement. If you go to any city and look at some of like the tallest buildings, what do you call it? Not necessarily the tallest, but the wealthiest buildings in a city, they are financial buildings. I'm using the metaphor that the edifice of the buildings relates to, that is such an industry, powerful money-making industry, and yeah, we don't have equal. There's a lack of equal representation in that field. Yeah. So yeah.
So they can start with business classes for free, get CompTIA certified, which is, don't they need CompTIA for insurance, like at a basic level? I could be wrong. They don't need CompTIA. Okay, they can get CompTIA, and one of the things I always hear is students want to be entrepreneurs. However, they're not enrolled in the basic business course that they can take for free and get certifications. So again, it's so much of it is framing it and helping them think through, what skills do I need to be an entrepreneur? They can take a sequence and become a completer in high school with business courses and get certifications that will help them as they become entrepreneurs.
And I started this with saying, I believe in education. I started to say that on purpose because most people believe, just like you, especially if they're in education, that you need a particular education in order to do these kind of fields. Most of the people that I know that are uber successful in insurance, investments, mortgages, don't have a college degree, or their college degree is in something completely different. Like mine is in physiology, but I do money. I mean, I have all these certifications, life insurance license, investment license, mortgage license. None of them you need a degree for, but most people don't get them unless they have a degree because they're scared of the test. And we're looking for people that want to learn that business, because this whole thing of residual income, working once and getting paid for the rest of your life, I make a really simple observation when I do speeches. Everybody that I know that has a good job, a reasonable job in a reasonable city, that doesn't have mass transit, has a car. And they're going to pay insurance on a car, not their first car, second car, or third car, but they're going to pay insurance on a car for 30, 40, 50 years. Did you know that there is somebody that's always getting paid a commission every time you renew your insurance for 30, 40, or 50 years? And with investments, it's even worse. As long as you put money in an investment account, somebody with a license is getting paid for it. All of us have jobs, all of us have income, and we're putting money into these investment accounts, but it's usually not going to us. There's somebody with a license that's getting that, and I'm trying to show people how they can do it themselves. And that's what I'm looking for. So if you guys know somebody that's interested in that, or ways I can help more younger people, because just a confession, the average person on my team, and I have 80 people on my team, average person on my team is 80 years old. But what do you think would be the best time for somebody to actually get a financial education? When they're 40 years old, or when they're 18, 19, and 20?
Great. Yeah. Okay.
I see everybody's there going.
There you go. Well, hey, no, economic empowerment. As one of my favorite news person says, Garen Bond has the last word for our meeting today. Let the money work for you rather than you working for the money. Okay. So yeah. And that's what we're talking about, is economic empowerment and equal educational opportunities for everyone. So thank you so much, speakers. Really appreciate you taking your time, as well as the folks who joined us today. We all make this work together. It takes a village, and hope to see you again the fourth Saturday of February at 1 o'clock on Zoom. So I'm signing off for the Maricopa Community. Oh, no, that's my job. That's my economic development. Maricopa County Branch NAACP. I got to go do my syllabus. Okay. Everybody have a great afternoon. Thank you.
And thank you, speakers.
Be safe. Thank you, speakers, and everybody who joined. Okay. Bye-bye.